Have you parents ever needed to call your child but had no way of doing so? Have you kids ever wanted some way to contact your friends? Did you know over 80% of teens have cell phones? What if your child was participating in sports and they needed a way to get home? These kids could of course walk, but what if they had cell phones? They could call home and arrange a ride. Cell phones are the latest technology that can improve daily life. I'd like to persuade you parents to allow your children to have cell phones. I'm going to talk to you about 3 reasons why cell phones are good to have. First, I'll talk to you about the affordability of cell phones. Then I'll talk to you about how later technology provides parental controls over phones. Last, I'll talk to you about cell phones and its relation to a person's socialness. First, I'm going to talk to you about affordability of cell phones, because if a parent is to let a kid have something, it needs to be reasonably priced. These details were promoted by Sprint on their website, and it is there I found this research. Cell phones are also good personal devices, and I'll give you some examples of that. Cell phones can keep numbers programmed in, so there is no need to memorize a parent's number. You can also manage account info from cell phones, so minimizing the logging onto a computer. These examples show that phones can be personalized. The cell phones themselves aren't that much. There are instant mail-in rebates that make cell phones cheap. Also, old phones can be exchanged for new phones, or one can upgrade phones, making them easily to fit your life. Plans are also inexpensive if one uses limited calling. There are also plans with unlimited everything. These may be pricey, but are useful if one uses the phone a lot. Also, some plans allow the adding on of a new phone for as less as $10. Plans also can be modified, though. It does cost money, but finding a plan that fits the whole family can be perfect. This chart right here is one of the plans of Sprint. It describes what you're getting, and it shows you other add-on plans that you may get. Next, I'm going to talk to you about parents' control over cell phones. This information was published by Verizon about parental controls. 16% of teens consider meeting someone they've met online, and 8% have actually met someone they've met online. 70% of 8 to 18-year-olds have accidentally come across pornography on the web from cellular phones. Cell phones are useful, but I will admit that there's bad stuff out there. But parental controls can keep kids out of bad stuff on their phones. With new technology, parents can keep kids from certain websites on their phone, based by their age. For example, a parent could put a kid's 13 and up block on a cell phone so inappropriate pictures could not pop up. Parents can also look at what the teen has been accessing. They can control how many minutes a kid can use on his phone. Latest technology improves cell phones so that nothing bad can be accessed. Last, I'm going to talk to you about how the cell phone supports socialness. These statistics were published by Marketing Charts. They were surveying teenagers with cell phones. It was from the article, Cell Phones, Key to Teenage Social Life. 57% of teens view their phones as a key to their social life. Thus said, teens say that cell phones are second only to clothing and as to how they are socially judged. Study by a professor discovered that cell phones in 2009 are mainly used to text rather than calling. This feature is so important to them that if texting were no longer an option, 40% of teens say their social life would be will be worsened, replied the professor studying effective technology. Many teens also use their phones to update account information on programs such as Facebook and Twitter using the internet. Another 57% of teens thank cell phones for improving their lives. I've explained to you why kids should have cell phones. Along with the fact that cell phones can be made safe, I've told you how cell phones are affordable, how they can have parental controls to make them safe, and how cell phones are becoming part of the social world. Now that you have heard my speech, I hope you allow your kids to have cell phones. Cell phones are a great contribution to society and are very helpful, but they are very dangerous. So please be careful on what you allow your kids to have.